Titles in 5.
Welcome to Teesside News. I'm Luke.
And I'm Mel. Coming up in this programme, as the A-level results day is fast approaching, we examine whether or not university offers value for money. But first, the news headlines.
After 8 years of campaigning, the case into the poisoned Russian dissident Alexander Litvenko is to be reopened by the Home Secretary Theresa May. The investigation will aim to find out whether or not the Russian state is to blame for the polonium radiation poisoning that killed Mr. Litvenko in 2006. Prime suspects Andrei Lugovy, a former KGB bodyguard, and Dmitry Kovtun, an ex-KGB bodyguard, were both linked to the radioactive substance. However, the Office of the Prosecutor in Moscow refused to extradite Lugovy, claiming that the Russian constitution prevents extradition of Russian citizens.
In Middlesbrough, a 73-year-old pensioner has died in James Cook Hospital after being bitten by a police dog in her own home. Irene Collins of Penrith Road was bitten several times by the German Shepherd after police searched for a burglar in her garden last Wednesday. She later died in hospital at the weekend. Police were searching for the burglar when the dog entered her home. A man was later arrested. The Independent Police Complaints Commission are currently deciding how to investigate the accident.
On a happier note, today is a very special occasion in Britain as it marks the first birthday of Prince George. Pictures have been released by Kensington Palace showing him having fun with parents, Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, at London's Natural History Museum. The BBC's Nicholas Witchell went to London to find out what he's done on his special day.
Debut one day after his birth, with his mother and father outside the private maternity wing of St Mary's Hospital in London. 1 year after his birth, and here is Prince George, a confident little boy according to the photographer who took these pictures of him with William and Catherine at an exhibition of butterflies at the Natural History Museum. Like every 1-year-old, he appears to be becoming ever more curious about the world around him, without as yet any inkling of why so many people are so very curious about him. He's walking now, as this picture which was issued on Sunday shows. A determined little boy by all accounts, as his few appearances over the past year have demonstrated. This was George in New Zealand last April, meeting other babies. And then there was that encounter a few weeks later with a small creature at Taronga Zoo in Sydney. On that occasion, the offer of a furry toy was declined. For his birthday, there'll be presents, a party at Kensington Palace, and from his parents, an expression of thanks to people for what they call their warm and generous good wishes to George. Nicholas Witchell, BBC News.
Thousands of students will get their A-level results. Many face a choice. Do they pursue university or do they get a job? It's a big decision complicated by the fact that it can cost up to £9,000 a year. For an overview of the price of a university education, here's Samantha Ball.
In 2012, university fees in England trebled to £9,000. The fees have led to a 17% increase in undergraduate dropouts from university because of the cost. But in Scotland, it's a different story. There, the government still pay for the tuition of Scottish students. The result was a 2% increase in students studying full-time at university. Next year, the average fee level will rise by £150. This means that 57 pence of every pound that the government loans to students will be recouped. But graduates only repay their loan when they earn more than £21,000 a year. Unpaid loans are cancelled after 30 years, but there is no doubt that growing numbers of students leave university with thousands of pounds worth of debt.
So with the university fees set to rise next term, what do people in Middlesbrough think? Does university still offer value for money? We went out and about on the Teesside University campus earlier this morning to find out more.
I think my course here I found to be good value in comparison to other courses I've done and what other colleagues have other courses they've completed.
I would definitely say that going to university is worth the money. It's a bit frustrating because
The fees went up by like triple or something stupid.
The jobs that you could get afterwards, everything like that, it's all definitely value for money.
The only downside is I have to fund my course myself, where just about everybody else on my course is funded by the NHS.
But you can't put a price on education.
So it seems that people in Middlesbrough do value a university education, but the rising costs and growing debt are a major source of concern. Over 70% of university graduates will still be paying off their fees in their 50s with a debt of around £44,000. But are the employability prospects in university experiences really worth it? Earlier, Claire Fletcher, Teesside University's employability officer, came into the studio and we asked, does she think universities offers value for money?
What isn't focused on enough is the opportunities that university can offer. Usually students who come to Teesside University will typically spend between 3 and 5 years with us, and I believe that they do get value for money from being with us because there is a huge amount of support and infrastructure built into this university that I think people don't always necessarily see from the outside. So my job as employability officer is to support the students and help them to build their soft skills, so communication, interacting with people, presentation skills. All of these are lifelong skills that people will need when they go out into the jobs market. Similarly, we have organisations inside of the university like Volunteers, where again we encourage the students who are with us for that 3 or 5 year period to go out and do some volunteering. Now that can have massive benefits to each of those individuals in terms of from a personal achievement point of view. They're giving something back to society, they're interacting with people who perhaps they've never ever come across before and perhaps who they would never get involved with if it hadn't been for university. If you're going to work for 40, 50 years, and bear in mind the retirement age is climbing all of the time, you could be working till you're 70. You want to do something you enjoy and you want to have options available to you. And when you start looking at jobs in the jobs market and you start seeing what they're asking for, quite often a degree will just be the bare minimum. And then what they're looking for is these extra skills that I've talked about and what more have you done at university. So you really want to come to university open-minded, think about the choices it's going to offer you for your life. You want to have some fun, you want to meet some new people, and it can really be a big turning point for people, and I think they do derive a huge sense of satisfaction after they've studied here at Teesside and at other universities, and it gives them that choice in the employment market to really fulfil their career goals and dreams.
Right, and what do you think about apprenticeships as alternatives to university? Because obviously students can actually get paid whilst they're doing them. So.
I mean, I think the jobs market is made up of lots of different layers. You know, there will be graduate jobs out there. There'll be the kind of more streamlined big corporate companies where you go into a graduate management job. There's always going to be a place, I think, for vocational study and for those practical skills. You know, you're always going to need tradespeople, so plumbers, electricians. These are trades that are really important to our society and they're a really important part of our society. And I think at the end of the day, it's your choice. It's got to be personal choice where you want to go with your career, what choices you want to offer and have available to you.
That's all we have time for today's programme.
Thank you for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.